Live Boxing.
Welcome to 5 Live Boxing. It's a big fight this weekend. 2 British fighters in front of 60,000 outdoors for the World Heavyweight Championship. It's only happened a few times before, of course. It's Tyson Fury, the WBC Heavyweight Champion, defending against Derek Del Boy Chisora, who 10 years ago fought for the Heavyweight Championship of the world. We're going to hear from Derek Del Boy Chisora. We're going to hear from George Warren of Queensberry Promotions, the people putting the fight on. And we're going to hear from Bob Arum, who's been putting on world title fights for 60 years. Then we're going to hear from the American author and broadcaster Mark Kriegel. It's been a busy week. It's been a busy year. And this fight might just be about to take off. I'm Steve Bunce, and this is 5 Live Boxing. And joining me up on one of the floors, I'm not sure how many floors they've got here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, is George Warren. George, first of all, let's get it out of the way. As much as it pains me as an Arsenal fan and you as an Arsenal fan, it's not a bad stadium, is it?
It's stunning,
that wall on the left is
stunning.
outrageous.
It's absolutely stunning. Great facilities. They've been really, really good to work with. I'm gutted that Arsenal are it, to be honest. Looking at it, the Emirates could do with a bit of TLC, but no. Emirates is on the bucket list, but this is the perfect venue for this fight.
Now it's December. It's December. It's cold outside. We know all of that. We know all of those things. It's still going to happen. It's going to happen, and it's going to be virtually full out there on the night.
Well, we've got 60,000 people here on Saturday night, and we've got 60,000 people here because that's what we can go to.
Yeah,
that's what we can go to with the licence restrictions that we've got in place with the local council. We were hoping to try and get a few more, but that's what we've got to work with. That's based on the 9:30 p.m. ring walk time,
which is a great idea, by the way.
I think it'll work well. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, people traditionally are used to that 10 p.m. start time for these big pay-per-view fights, especially when they're outdoors. But I think 9:30 December. What I'm hoping is people are going to go out, watch the World Cup, enjoy themselves, come back, sit back, relax, and watch a great night of boxing.
Yeah, that seems to make all the sense in the world. Was there a point when it was being talked about back in July and August where you thought, you know what, it's the end of the year, let's go indoors, let's do 18, 19,000? Was that ever even even something that was contemplated?
No.
Because he has to go outside.
I mean, Tyson's a stadium fighter.
Yeah,
if he fights in the UK, he has to fight in a stadium. That's because of the revenue that he generates. He is an absolute superstar. So you can't make it financially viable with him fighting indoors in the UK. The plan originally, which never really changed, up until Usyk made himself unavailable because of the delay in his fight with Joshua, was to fight Usyk in December in the Middle East. And when that opportunity got pushed back, and I say opportunity because I really believe that we will still get that fight on early next year. Conversations are still ongoing, and Alex is over. Very good conversations. Yeah. Alex is here this week.
And Usyk's coming in, if I'm not mistaken.
Usyk's here on Saturday. I hope he is, because I've got him a seat reserved.
So a good seat as well.
It would be a shame if that sits empty all night. So no. Alex has told me today that he's definitely on his way, and I think he lands Friday evening. But when the Usyk fight wasn't available in December, it was important for Tyson to fight. It was important for us to keep him busy and to deliver for our client. He needs to fight. He needs to remain active. Having a voluntary defence of his title, it's a great thing for him, for his mental health, and to keep him on that path of what he wants to do and what he wants to achieve as a heavyweight boxer. So that's why we're here, and we've got a great night ahead.
And you've touched on my next question there, that whole concept that Tyson needs this. It's part of his health. It's part of his continuing good health. When after the White fight, hand on heart, I was convinced he was walking away. I did a few nights with him at different functions. I spent some time with him. I absolutely 100% believed he would walk away. Were you convinced he'd walk away, or were you convinced he'd return, or were you in the middle, George? Let's say in June or July.
No, I think Tyson. Most importantly, Tyson was convinced he was going to walk away.
Was, yeah.
I think he was. Was I? No, I thought that he would do what all hungry champions do. I think he'd take some time out, rest and recuperate, and enjoy some time with his family. but miss that buzz, miss that enthusiasm,
and
that energy.
It. And need it. That's the difference. You know, me and you can miss it. He needs it.
He is a consummate professional, but there's no denying that Tyson is a better fighter and a better rounded individual when he's got a focus and something to look forward to. And this is what this event's about. And by the way, you can't overlook Derek. No. You know, Derek may have some losses. He may have been.
I'm the chairman of the Derek Chisora club, mate. I'm a big fan.
We know Derek. I mean, the first fight with Tyson, Derek was promoted by us. We didn't do that fight. Mick Hennessy won that in the purse bid. The second one, Derek was promoted by us. You know, it was a difficult night for Derek, but I think he's come on leaps and bounds since then. Not always gone his way in fights, but some questionable decisions in there. You know,
hard fights.
You know, was it a majority or a split decision loss to Usyk?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a tough.
I mean, when he loses, it's like it's by 2 rounds, it's by 3 rounds. When he wins, it's by 2 rounds, it's by 3 rounds. It's a whole succession of hard 12 rounds. I'm kind of amazed that people are writing him off. Okay, is he the underdog? Yes, of course he's the underdog.
Yeah.
But listen, you could have pulled in half a dozen, and this is not a massive defence because I do stuff on BT. You could have pulled in half a dozen Americans that no one would have screamed about who don't have half the credentials of Derek. Part of the problem is he's British. That's why That's why there's so many screams.
I think so, but one of the reasons why we're able to make this work at a stadium is because he's British.
Yeah.
Because
and he's Dell.
Exactly. But the British boxing public buy into British heavyweight fights. They love it. We saw it with Fury White. You know, no one's going to say that wasn't an anticipated fight, but everyone knew who the favourite was going into that fight. And Tyson delivered, and, you know, I fully expect him to deliver again. I'm sure he does as well. Onwards and upwards from there. But he's got to concentrate. He's got to get through this night, and I think he will. And, you know, before Christmas, a great party. We've got a great undercard. Daniel Dubois is in a really, really good position. He's got a tough fight, by the way. He's another one with a live opponent in there. Kevin Lerena will come. This is his opportunity to kind of upset the apple cart at heavyweight. I just think, I'm hoping. I think that our guys will come through. I think we're going to look forward to a really good night of boxing. And then we move forward.
And finally, George, obviously you mentioned there how positive the relationship and negotiations are with Usyk and his team, and they're all good people. They're people you can deal with. If that fight happens next year, two or three part question: would it only be one of Tyson's 2 fights in theory? And also, might we still go to the Middle East with that fight if it happened? Is that still on the table, so to speak?
I think the front runner at the moment is that we do that fight in the Middle East. I think that's, if I was going to hedge my bets, I think that's where we end up. If we don't end up finalising a deal with a site out there, there's no reason why we couldn't explore doing this in the UK or elsewhere.
Yeah.
But right now, the natural home for the fight in terms of the revenue available and the financial recuperation for the fighters is probably the Middle East. You've heard Tyson. He's saying multiple times, I think what was it, the public workout, he said that he wanted 10, 15 fights next year. He wants to be busy, he wants to be active. We all know that. He wants 15-round fights now, by the way, as well. So we'll have to go to the ball.
15 rounders.
We'll have to go to the ball.
That's Joe Louis style.
But I think, for me, Tyson fights early Q1 against Usyk, hopefully undisputed, wins that, comes through in a tremendous event, an historic night of boxing. He will look to defend those titles, and there's some big domestic rivals, even in-house, which makes it easier for us. You know,
Joe Joyce talking about.
Joe Joyce,
Daniel.
Why are they not in the mix? I mean, they're great nights to look forward to.
And it's not for this pod, but what a rematch that would be, Joyce and Dubois, if it made sense. And we're in a business where things have to make sense, George.
And make sense is exactly right. I think, you've got to give them both a lot of kudos for taking that when they did, when no one expected them to. They didn't have to do it. It was a British Boxing Board of Control ordered fight for the British title. Either guy could have said, do you know what, park this up, let's do this when there's more on the line, when there's more money. We did that behind closed doors. That significantly impacted what obviously the fighters could afford to earn and what we could generate from the event, but we still went ahead and pressed ahead. I don't think it's held either of them back. They're in great positions. But the rematch between them, for me, it deserves to have world titles on the line. I think it's important for both of them. We should be back here at a stadium like this doing that fight. Hopefully the Emirates though.
If you didn't get it, I was. George, thanks for your time. Let's enjoy it Saturday night, because bizarrely, I'm looking forward to it. In fact, I can't wait.
Cheers, Steve.
So George Warren there of Queensbury talking to me, and He's clearly not a very happy man. In fact, I spoke to his father back in September, and we stood exactly where I'm standing now, looking out over a stadium, this glorious stadium, and the two ends that go up, as Darren Fletcher, the BT commentator, tells me, it's just like NFL stadiums in America. Well, I don't care. This is North London. It is a great stadium. Also here is Bob Arum, who knows a thing or two about promoting world heavyweight title fights. His first one was 60-odd years ago. Seems ridiculous. Muhammad Ali, George Chuvalo. Wow, it's just that's beyond ancient history. I think they both got there on a boat chartered by Noah. Anyway, Bob Arum is here and in great form, and you can't catch Bob Arum out. He might be 90 plus, but you can't catch him out. But I got some time with Bob, and I started by asking him just what he thought of this truly, and it hurts me to say it, is truly magnificent stadium.
I was here for the initial press conference, and I saw the stadium when my football Giants played here against the Packers. Yeah, it is beautiful. It's really a state-of-the-art, really terrific.
Bob, the whole Tyson Fury show just keeps on going and going and going. Between the two of us, I can't see an end to it. The man's addicted to boxing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's good for his mental health, and he makes good money at it. And why not? I mean, I don't see anybody out there that can really beat him.
And neither does he. So if you spend any time with him, you see that he's even more committed now than he maybe was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, or 4 years ago. And that's quite hard in a fighter.
Yeah, well, yeah, but again, certain fighters resent what they're doing. They resent the training, all the hard work, and also getting in the ring and having somebody throw punches at him. Unlike Tyson, who really, really loves it. He loves the training, and more than that, he loves performing in the ring. And that's a blessing.
With Tyson fighting twice a year, there must be so many potential fights on the table. Would you like to see him, if he could, back in Las Vegas and back at the Raiders Stadium? That was something that we talked about 3 years ago.
Well, sure, because everybody, I live in Las Vegas, and everybody is talking to me about when is he coming back, because he'd sell out the Allegiant Stadium where the Raiders play, and that means a lot for the town because it'll bring in a lot of action.
Now, Derek Del Boy Chisora, I mean, I'm a big fan of Derek Del Boy Chisora. I mean, I think he's a guy that's had some highs and lows. I think personally, he's being underestimated here. Not to suggest he could win, but I think he's being underestimated, and if you like, maybe even written off. I find that a little bit disrespectful, Bob.
I have learned over the 60 years I've been promoting boxing that with heavyweight boxing, any good puncher like Chisora is in with a big chance. And it's not, some people make him into a no-hoper. I don't. I watched him when he fought Usyk, who I have great respect for, and it was life and death. So I give Chisora in with a chance. I hope that chance doesn't materialize and that Fury comes through. But there will be some dicey moments in that fight.
Now, Bob, and finally, I hate to throw forward, but there's been a lot of talk about Usyk, a lot of, over the last 2 months or so. Is that a fight that can be realistically made, or do you think there are too many obstacles popping up now, Bob? What's your feeling?
There are no obstacles. I'm very close to the Usyk people, particularly Igor Klimas, because they have Lomachenko and Janibek, who we promote. So we're all very close and friendly, and they are bound and determined to go ahead and do this fight with Tyson Fury. I know Fury is. The question is where. The Mideast always dangles a lot of money, and some of it's real, some of it's not real. But, I would be very happy if we did the fight at Wembley Stadium, because we'd pack it and it would be great for the English fight fans.
Bob, thanks so much for your time.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Bob. That's Bob Arum there talking. Well, Bob can talk about anything. You think that Bob's been primed to talk about specific fights when you speak to him? He hasn't. You can send him what the Americans call a curveball and ask him about anything, and he will seamlessly begin talking about it over any period during the last 60 or so years, because that's what Bob Arum does. It's that simple. Now, let me just grab, I can see Derek Delboy Chisora. I'm going to go and grab hold of Derek Delboy Chisora. Let me just get through here. Delboy, Derek, thanks for finding a bit of time. Derek, the first thing, and it's kind of obvious to me, is that this is a massive event. You've been in big events before. Do you have to catch your breath sometimes, Del? And just, how are you feeling? I mean, because it's a simple question that sometimes doesn't get asked. We're a few days away from a massive fight, the biggest fight of your life. What's it feel like to be Derek Chisora right now?
Tasty, very nice. I'm buzzing. I'm not buzzing. I'm getting it. I'm sizzling up. I'm marinating.
How does this compare to maybe before the rematch with Parker, the fight with Usyk, going back a few years, fights with Dillian? How are you getting that same kind of feel? Do you feel like there's something big happening on Saturday, or are you more relaxed this time? Because you're senior. You're older.
I'm more chilled, to be honest with you. I'm just chilling. I'm just enjoying every moment of it, bro. I'm not clouded by anger or anything. I'm just enjoying every second of it.
Now, it seems to me, though, that he's Tyson's sort of going out of his way to, be nice to you, putting his arm around you, smiling, constantly wanting to shake your hands. Is that just a Tyson?
No. You know what? First of all, yeah. You know what? To tell your listeners the truth, guys, he's actually blessed me by giving me this opportunity to fight for the world title in a big arena at Tottenham. So for me to be naive and stupid and trying to act disrespectful to the guy who's put food on my kid's table, it's not fair, because to be honest with you, if it wasn't for him, I don't think Frank Warren or Bob Arum or even my old promoter Eddie Henry would give me this opportunity, to be honest with you. So I'm just grateful from the Furies, from him, from Tyson and his beautiful wife Paris and his whole family for giving me this opportunity. But no, don't make no mistakes. That when we come to fight, bro, I'm gonna come in to fight. So I'm so grateful for what he's done for me and stuff like that. But really and truly, we are going to fight. I cannot be disrespecting the guy who's giving me money. It's like you disrespecting your work and they're paying you. So I cannot do that. But I can guarantee you now, we can have a fight.
Dude, when did you and Tyson first talk about this fight, you having this fight, when he was champion? Or was it something that only he talked about? Did he ever actually talk to you about it at any point in the last 3, 4, 5 years?
No, he was talking about it, and then someone come sort this nonsense out.
What you've done, you touched it. Yeah, you've done it. You've magically got the Derek turned the lights off. Now you've turned them back on.
Yeah. So listen, it's neither there when we spoke about this. Yeah, but all I can say to those listeners, it's going to be a hell of a night on Saturday. It's going to be amazing.
Now, Derek, you've been around an awful long time, amateur and pro. You've been in lots of big situations, big fights up here, big fights overseas. But when you look out there, you look at that ring, especially at the moment when it's bathed in sunshine, is there a part of Derek Chisora, the fan, the boxing fan, that says, you know what, I can't wait for this? I mean, that's just a glorious sight, Derek.
Listen, I'll be honest with you, for me growing up in Africa, in Zimbabwe, coming here beginning of 2000, the millennium, I boxed in Cardiff, I boxed in West Ham, I've been to great stadiums around, so, it's been amazing. It's been an amazing journey, bro. I'm enjoying every moment of it, bro. As I look at it, I'm like, wow, that is an African kid who was born in Zimbabwe and he's about to headline in Tottenham. So it's a buzz for me, bro.
And finally, Derek, journey's not over yet, is it? For you?
Nah. No, no, not yet.
Thanks, Derek.
Thank you, sir.
That was Derek Del Boy Chisora, at peace, calm, but insisting it's still going to be a fun. Now, I'm joined by a man, I tell you what, I love it every time I manage to grab him. We were planning to do loads of stuff with him a few months ago, and fights fell through ESPN. That doesn't really sell him. I'm not going to say ESPN. I'm going to say just an all-round good guy, Mike Kriegel. Mark, you've spoken to Derek as well today. Let's deal with Derek first before we talk about Tyson. How did you find Derek?
He's in the best position he can be in, a heavyweight with absolutely nothing to lose and a whole lot to gain. I think that he's hoping that Tyson's true to his word, meets him in the center of the ring, because that's his best shot. I think he's got, to me, the one chance he has. And I wouldn't want to underestimate it, because the history of this particular division is stay busy fights that turn into massive upsets.
Absolutely.
But tactically, for him to have a chance to do that, in my mind, he's got to bang the hell out of his body.
Yeah.
Tyson's.
And of course, it's a bit like, how do you beat Floyd Mayweather? Everyone knew how to beat him, but putting it into practice was a very difficult thing, a very hard thing for very good fighters. And just the idea that you get 6 inches closer and whack away at Tyson is a lovely idea, but Tyson's got to play ball and stand there and allow you to do it, and he doesn't do that anymore.
I think Tyson, it depends whether Tyson actually, if his ego is huge enough that he wants to beat Chisora. Chisora's the only chance that he has. I don't know. I mean, so look, Tyson just told me, look, he's got to get through my jab, which is true.
Which kind of suggests that he's not going to stand toe to toe. But there is a part of Tyson, we've seen it in the past where he fights. I mean, I'm going to say he fights foolishly. Not that we've seen it. I mean, in some might argue that the second and the third fights with Wilder were him. I know he won in dramatic fashion, but you could argue that was him fighting foolishly.
Steve, that's exactly what I'm saying. That's him fighting with his ego to prove a point. Look how much I've changed, and he's good enough that he can do that. He has changed, but the only chance Chisora has is for him to fight that way, which I wouldn't put it past either of them.
No, I wouldn't put it past either of them. I want to throw it forward a little bit, because it's going to be a cold night. It's going to be 60,000. We're still going to get an event, and I think either way we'll have an event as opposed to a great fight. But that's okay. None of us are foolish, and there is always that chance. And it's great that Derek's got another chance. He's been around an awful long time. He's fought everybody, and he's been entertaining. I've got to throw it forward. Is it your understanding, your feeling that we will see a Fury and Usyk fight, or a Fury and AJ fight? Are you hearing, and would there be, and are you hearing that's going to happen? And secondly, Mark, would there be a clamour for that, do you think? As big as we maybe think? Because we're always in a boxing bubble, which sometimes we forget.
In the States, there's no longer a clamour for the AJ fight. People wouldn't be upset if it happened, but there's not that. There's not that.
There's no longer need necessity.
It needs to happen because we've now seen him lose twice to Usyk. There is a clamor, of course, for Fury Usyk. I think that it will happen. I don't think that you have the usual political and economic complications. It's not like an unfriendly promoter. It's not an unfriendly management. Egis Klimas, Usyk's manager, does a whole lot of business with Bob Arum, Top Rank, and that's
Bob talks about that.
So I mean, the question to me is whether it happens in Saudi, and what I understand is the deal points, a prospective deal is in place for them to fight in Saudi.
Yes.
Usyk's people are fine with it. They don't have to renegotiate any points, which means that Tyson will come back with a whole list, a laundry list of, no, you must do this or that. The reason I feel it's going to happen is I just got out of the room with Tyson, and he told me he poo-pooed it. Which means, and I think that's Tyson being contrary. I heard Tyson just before saying, I want to go on a barnstorming tour, which, the roots of the sport are in barnstorming.
Absolutely, we love a barnstorming tour.
I could see him doing that, but I still think he has to take care of business with Usyk first, and I think at some level he knows that. He'll make it a little bit difficult because there's nothing really left to negotiate on the Usyk side of things. But it is heavyweight boxing, and they'll hem and haw, but I do think it'll happen.
Mark, listen, it's always a pleasure and a delight talking to you. Just a final question. I know that you now, I know that once you lived where it was cold, now you live where it's hot
I
in
wouldn't go back to that
California.
place.
But you're back here. I'm going to make you close your eyes. It's 9:30, 10 o'clock on Saturday. We're outdoors, brother. The stars are there. That's always a bad sign because that means it's even colder. It looks good, but it's terrible. Have you brought the correct clobber, as we call it in the UK? Have you got the right
Yes, I
kit
have, sir.
to be okay?
Yes, I have.
Because I worry about you.
Hey, I grew up in New York. It was
That's
colder
what
than
I'm-
this.
I know it is, but since then you've become very speak
thin.
soft,
My
brother.
blood is thin. I'm soft.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
I'm gonna tough it out, brother.
Good, I hope
If
you
I,
do.
I'll look over and see you, and it'll give me inspiration.
I've decided I'm not wearing a short sleeve shirt. I'm going to wear a long shirt. Mark, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Thanks, brother. So that was the press day, and on the surface, everybody was polite. Everybody was respectful. Everybody was gracious. Well, don't have to scratch too far to just see a little bit more, a little bit of edge creeping in. Enough to satisfy me that we will see a fight. Not sure how long it will last once the first bell goes on Saturday. I'm Steve Bunce, and this has been 5 Live Boxing. Thanks for listening.
Let's get ready to rumble!
5 Live Boxing.